everyone. So in this video, I'm going to explain Newton's 3 laws of motion. So the first law is the law of inertia. And this law says that an object will remain in its current state of motion unless acted upon by an outside force. Now this means that if you were to have an object in motion, it will not slow down, speed up, or stop unless a force is causing it to do so. Or if you had a stationary object, it will not start to move until a force causes it to. Inertia is an object's tendency to resist motion, and it's mass dependent. So as you increase mass, you increase inertia, which means that it makes it harder for you to change the object's state of motion. Now, if you look here in the squatting situation, it's going to be much easier to squat just the bar, which is about 45 pounds, than it would be to squat something like 200 pounds. And that's because the bar has a lower inertia, making it much easier to change its state of motion. Now, here's a real-life application of the law of inertia. When you're in a moving vehicle, your body is moving at the exact same velocity as the car is, so same speed, same direction. But if you were to crash into something, your body will continue to move in the same velocity until a force causes you to change that motion. So as you can see here, these people don't have seatbelts on, so their bodies continue to move forward until they hit the windshield or the back of the seat, which causes them to finally change their state of motion and to stop them. These people are wearing seatbelts, and so their bodies are stopped almost immediately after the crash. And overall, this video shows us that an object will maintain its current state of motion until an external force causes it to change. Now, the second law of motion is the law of acceleration. And this law states that the acceleration of an object as produced by a net force is directly proportional to the magnitude of the net force in the same direction as the net force and inversely proportional to the mass of the object. So simply, an object will accelerate in the same direction that the force applies to it, and acceleration is inversely related to mass. So if you're to keep the same amount of force but increase your mass, your acceleration would decrease, and vice versa. So let's look at it through this video. It's got a very small mass.
Use our force and our bungee cord here. And you can see how fast it accelerates because there's very little mass. That's right. Spaceship.
So he's got a bigger object. A heavier object uses the same force, and the heavier object with the same force has a lower acceleration. Now, here's another example of Newton's second law of motion.
Acceleration. So if you're a small guy with a small mass, this means it's relatively easy to change direction. On the other hand, if you're a big guy with a big mass, it's much, much harder to change direction because for the same acceleration, you require a much, much larger force.
So the guy with the heavier mass, with the same amount of force, will get a lower acceleration than the smaller guy. Now, the third law is the law of action-reaction, and this states for every force exerted by an object, there's an equal and opposite force on the object. And so, as you see here, as this man pushes into the wall is pushing him right back with the same amount of force. Even though the wall is an inanimate object, it's pretty much telling the guy, if you're going to push me like that, I'm going to push you right back the exact same way. And you can see here, they're equal in magnitude. It's just negative on this side because it's in the opposite direction. The force is applied in the opposite direction. Now here's an example of the law of action-reaction.
As close as possible, a slant.
Yes,
Right.
yes, sir. Okay, here we go.
The ceiling.
It's funny, the guy says don't hit the ceiling. And so, as you can see here, the guy puts a lot of force into that ball. So when that ball is traveling towards the floor and contacts that floor with that amount of force, the floor is actually exerting the same amount of force on the ball, just in the opposite direction. And that causes the ball to pop up and hit the guy in the face. That's funny. Thank you very much for watching.